That's actually kind of like, that's smart. Okay, there we go.
But it's just automatic.
Okay. Do you want to just bring them at the beginning so we can address those first?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So Unleashing Gardens. We should have waited for
Okay. Well,
there was a
I'm gonna
specific
get on
reason.
water a lot this time, so I hope you're watching. Because you fed a lot. Uh,
I really wanted to know if for each map we played the right comp.
yeah. So the comps, I'm gonna go a little bit into that because I'm gonna get a little more creative, and that's why I'm pulling out the AM stomp, as I call it.
A
Um,
bit more creative.
yeah, it's pretty inspirational, but it works um, too well. Okay, so first map.
What DPS am I playing, Chief?
I looked at Koala Kings. They tend to play in Orisa Diva too. Perfect, fucking perfect.
Oh,
Oh my god.
No.
Yes, you're gonna play that comp a bit more. If you guys win this one, then that if I if this goes the whole way to grand finals, that'd be fucking great. Uh, I think it's winnable. I really think it's winnable because Koala King's worst map is control. It's fucking free for you guys. Koala Kings have, yeah, Koala Kings have lost their last two controls. Um, so what I'm thinking is assault and control play so in Rush's favor. If you guys can secure those two maps, and even then I have plan. I'm really what I'm focusing on is improving your hybrid and your escort. As long as you win your first two maps, even if they try to reverse sweep, in control, once you turn the whole way around and we get the pick, if you lose escort, easy fucking win, right? Just kind of what happened with Jetpack Cats. Like you guys are so much better at control than anything else, and it's mainly just because it plays so much to your playstyle that it when it comes the whole way back around the map 5, I mean, damn, it tends to work pretty well. Um, hmm. So one of the only teams that's beaten Koala Kings is Sky Guardians, and you guys have taken control off of Sky Guardians. I think you can take control off of Koala Kings. So, okay. Um, what map am I gonna look at? Lijiang first, because I want to go over a bit of feeding, uh, and we'll take a look at that. All right. All right, this map. This is the map that I know is going to be harder for you guys since it does play slower, and it's a slower version of Brawl, so it's a little more difficult. I think even like with your playstyle, you might even just want to go the Mei Diva, like Mei Sim, and do that. But that's really up to you guys. I do think this comp is probably better. I think Mech just needs to play slower. So let's see. Mech's already dead. Hold up. Go back. And I'm gonna change settings real quick. Okay, so start out here. Yeah. So mech, you can swing for a second here, but the second your immortality goes through, then you need to be careful. And you're like you're aggressively taking space, which is good. Maybe Sim, I'd say. Okay, big thing. And this is a trust thing too. I'm gonna pull out my pen. Breaking turrets is entirely Lucio's job. Like maybe Sig can turn around and throw an orb at it, and then turn around and flick the other orb at the enemy team. But like for the most part, it like your Lucio is cleanup crew, right? And that's how Slimy describes it, and that's the best way to describe it. So these turrets, pretty much Lucio. Lucio should be the only one who has to focus on this. So Goose, make sure you're up with Mech because every second you're charging on their shield and you're breaking their shield, the more of an advantage you have in the long run. Especially with like a really spam heavy comp with like the two Junkrats, it's almost a war of shield break. So that's one thing to look at because Mech is really far ahead of the team now because we're looking at turrets. Okay, Mech swinging still. Playing this corner, immortality goes out at this point. This is like a big backup moment. Like you need to get the hell out. Don't kite this way. Don't put down your shield. Yeah, okay. So I'd say, first of all, when kiting, make sure you're kiting linearly, in a linear way, because if you're kiting this way, it gets harder and harder for your team to heal you, and your team has no protection at that point. So even though maybe you'll die because there's no corner, like you're trying to get around this corner, they're still going to chase you down, and you're still in swing distance. So if anything, you're sealing your fate. I'd say just be more aware of your team and the team itself. Make sure you're with mech. Did mech charge at spawn? Because that doesn't help at all. That sometimes actually splits you. Okay, so mech's with all of you. You're stacked. And then you start walking. Everybody else is... Yeah, just keep walking. Play way more aggressive here. Just in general, the entire team can. And then mech would have been in a bit of better position because Vit, you can play more up. You can play way more aggressive because you have shift right now, so you can live. And you can help mech live too. Yeah, you can play more defensively once your shift is gone, but while you still have your eat, you can play up. And that's what their Sigma did. Their Sigma played up and ate a lot of the initial damage, and now their Sig has a lot of shields. So at this point, you kind of have more aggressive power than they do, because typically you want to use your Reinhardt shield first, and then when it's getting low, or your Reinhardt's getting low in general, you can use your shift second. They use their shift really early, which is a common mistake, to just eat the spam coming right out. If you don't do that, you wait for them to use their shift first, and then you shift your mech. Then mech has more aggressive power than their Reinhardt does, Josh does. So that's just a small detail, but it will help you out. So just in general, the entire team needs to play a little more aggressive with mech. And then mech, just you need to live a little bit more, but still, I wouldn't put that entirely on you there. Okay, go back. Alright, you TP here. So you kite back. The kiting back is good. Just stabilize. Get the hell out. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Okay, you regroup now. Live, live, live. Sim is dead. You just need to get out. I don't think you keep fighting this. This is a little dangerous. Yeah. When you're one down like that, I'd recommend just disengaging or poking, but since they're giving space, I'd say just leave it at that. Because now you're fighting a 5v6, which just statistically, you're not in a very good position to win. Here, I'd say window immediately. You can just window right here. Yeah, that's good. I will say, if you want your team to hold this corner better, you can window a little further up, so that way your Reinhardt can get more value out of it, because he can fire strike at this corner, because your Reinhardt doesn't want to hold here, he wants to hold at this corner here. And this forces them back a little bit more, rather than them being able to hide behind this comfortably, right? Because they could just rotate around here, right? Really easy, but if you put the window up here, it's a little harder for them to do that, because it covers all of this. So it really forces the enemy team into a position where they have to back. Yeah, see this Reinhardt? They can play back here. They make a really smart rotation. So now this window doesn't get as much value. If your window was up here, it would allow you to hold a lot more space, a lot easier. And sure, they can rotate the whole way around, but at that point you meet them, and you can also kind of like peek out of the window through this corner and catch anybody who's like, you can pinch them, right? Because if you force them into a position where they're all walking this way, then you can take an angle here, you can take an angle here. Like your Junkrat, I'd recommend your Junkrat Sig take this angle, while your Reinhardt always matches Reinhardt. So whatever Reinhardt does, your Reinhardt matches. Okay. Mech is pushing through here. This is pretty good. Okay. You lose 2. Water, you're way too far up. The rest of the team needs to push with. Let's break down kind of what happens here. Okay. So mech is getting ready to push here. The entire team kind of needs to commit with mech if mech's going to push in. So mech needs to communicate that. And here we window. We're still playing pretty back. Yeah, this is my main problem with this window. Like honestly, at a higher level, your teammates are at like once you take this space, because this is all the space that this window really takes. I just ignore it and go past, and that's what mech did here. And mech made the right decision instead of just playing back with you guys. But it was a bad window. You just need to push up past it at this point. because you just kind of want to get past it. Mech is taking space, which is good. Water pushing up. Now you never want to really be in front of your Reinhardt. You probably want to hover like in between your team, like back here, because you can do the damage you need to from there. You look for a boop and you go in, and now you're gonna pay for that. Yeah. And now Mech's alone. You're still kind of holding at this window. This Junkrat's taking an off angle on you. So what you've allowed them to do is you're really split, first of all. And on top of that, now their Junkrat's taking an angle, and then they have this angle as well. Like they kind of turned the tides on you. You had the advantage there. You just didn't commit on it. And here Mech is gonna die. He thinks he has a team with him. Yeah, he's dead. Okay. This is still somewhat winnable. You kill the Junkrat. And then they shatter. Good flux. You kill the sim. This is pretty much just Vit popping off. Okay, they window. Good shift. Water comes in for a boop. This is suicide. You're feeding. Again, stop. Like, honestly, this is... You're going for these boops, right? I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish by going in front of the the Baptiste and booping him further back while he can still shoot through the window, right? Like, you don't even have a Reinhardt. There's nothing to boop into a swing. Like, it just seems you're going for it, trying to get absolute maximum value out of every boop when you just need to play safe. You really need to play safe because you're against a Baptiste who's just a little better. You're dead again. So keep that in mind. Andrew, you can play a little bit more aggressive, and I want you to take angles a little bit more. Like, you've been playing pretty much back here the entire time. Once you take this space, once you get those kills, I'd say play with your SIG a lot, but your SIG doesn't take angles a lot. You can kind of play in an off angle, like right here. Like, on this map, it's super easy to take angles, okay? So, for example, if you're holding here, and you're like holding main like this, Junkrat set up here. If you're on point, right, and maybe your Reinhardt's here, his shield is here, shoot from here, right? It's as simple as on this map, wherever your Reinhardt's at, take the opposite angle, right? So that if they're trying to push through here, your Junkrat's here, your Reinhardt's here, and your Junkrat SIG can both be in the same spot. So like you can have your Junkrat SIG set up here, your Reinhardt set up here, and sure, your Reinhardt doesn't have the SIG to really help him, but if you wanted to just carry your Reinhardt, you play D.Va at that point, right? If you want to play that style. Really, the SIG is meant to do as much damage as possible, and the damage will act as a form of space making, almost. Like they can't even push to your Reinhardt because they're under a lot of pressure. So that's the idea, right? You don't want to be as focused on carrying your Reinhardt as you want to be focused on popping off and doing as much damage on an off angle as you physically can. And on the side, you can carry your Reinhardt if you're going to play really aggressive and once you have an advantage. But until then, you really, like early fight, you want to be playing split. Now, granted, there are fights such as first fight where you'll all kind of filter through this corridor. That's fine. But when fights devolve even, you can still kind of take angles. Okay. They go for flux. Go for beat. It's a little late. Mech's low. Mech, you just need a shield. They beat. At this point, you just need to kite really hard. You just need to get the hell out. Because you want to respect that. Ebb and flow. Pretty decent ebb and flow. You're understanding you need to back out. Like, this is really good. In Vit, you're kind of automatically in an off angle, but you get tired. That's unfortunate. At this point, fight's lost. Just get out. Okay. Alright, so here you make the call to go left. I have a tip for you. If you start, like, it took you a second, so this is more of a nitpick and it's harder to get. Water, don't walk through main, go another way, go left. You got yourself killed by poke. Okay. Yeah, so Goose makes the call to go left, I believe, or it was either Goose or Andrew. Either way, you started rotating, and then you kind of had to wait for your Lucio to get back. But since you already started rotating, they know now. They know, and that gives them way more time to react, like TP back and everything. And that is a bit of an issue. Like, see, they already know right now. They're rotating back. Their sim TP's back. They're rotating. They're already there pretty much. Like, they're getting set up for you, and you're not even through the first door completely. So that rotation was the easiest thing to read, probably possible. I'd say hide here, poke here, and then the second, and then say 3, 2, 1, rotate and go. Another thing you can do, you can start the rotation, hide in this room, then go back, and walk through main for free. Both are viable options, but when you're making a rotation, make sure you're all together before you start it, so that you can all commit on it. Otherwise, you start the rotation, then you pause to wait. They know what you're going to do, and the point of making the rotation is lost because it doesn't force them to reposition and set up. You give them way more time than you do. So that's what I wanted to just go on about that. Just with rotations in general. Okay, so now they're set up in this room. They have this setup. This TP is really smart. This is really, really smart. It's in the middle of the team. It's a little dangerous, but it works, right? So you TP in. It throws them off. You wall immediately. This is a great wall. You look for shatter. This is absolutely massive. Like, this play, your aggression is just unrivaled, and it really threw them off. That was a good TP play. Another TP play you can make, you can TP through main into this door here, and then go, like, around or something like that. So when you're in these positions where they've got you in a chokehold, TP is your best possible option. So always be looking for one. Okay. Here you just outsmarted them. Even though your rotation was completely predictable. Okay. And from here, it's just clean up crew. Yep. Okay. And that's solid, right? That's a good fight. That's a really good fight for you guys. Now, here, the main thing you want to expect, right, is the same idea, and they had their TP set up in a similar way. You want to have a TP set up probably back to point. I'd say you don't want your TP to be here. Try and get a TP, like, try and set it up so that it's right here, back to, like, that part of point. You don't need to be, it doesn't need to be the very back of point, because sometimes you actually want to, like, have it here so you can meet them at, like, around here if you need to meet them for any reason. Just a small nitpick, but it will help a little bit. Okay, you're playing up here. Yep, they go for TP. And this is the TP I was talking about, where you can TP here. You immediately need to match with your TP, but the problem is, since the TP is so far back, it's going to take you guys a while to get to it, which is why I want your TP, like, further up. And Mech, you need to be aware that you need to be ready to TP at any time, and the rest of the team needs to be ready for that too. It's a mind game, right, with the TPs. And you need to expect this against the teams that are better. And this team was pretty good with their TPs, actually. They were really quite smart. So, yep. Yeah, so they TP'd, their TP was closer to their team, and they were just more ready. So there is an example of an extremely good TP play. That's what you want to be looking for. And then here, yeah, they're just going to kind of roll you over. That was a really good shatter as well around the corner. Okay. Yep. And they're going to count from there. Okay, that's that map. Does anybody have any questions from that map in particular? That round, at least. Alright, I'll take that as a no. Move on to Night Market. Okay. Actually, I don't want to go over Night Market right now, because that's not really where... I want to look at Busan next, actually. Busan... your brawl was actually pretty much perfect. I don't have much to complain about, because it was way, way better. And I'd say if you're looking for how to play your Reinhardt a little better, just go back to that mecha base, because that was really quite nice. But there were some mistakes in, like, your Genji Tracer comp, and if you want to go up against, and if you want to win against the Orisa Diva comp, you're going to need to really perfect this comp right here, and you can do so much with it, and it just shows like it is Odin's counter comp to Orisa comps in general, and if you play it well enough, you will absolutely roll. We on assault maps against Orisa comps have a 100% win rate using this comp. 100%. We have never once not been able to take first point on an assault map with this comp against Orisa comp. And we did it a lot. We've done it at least 15 times. So it is just flawless. Like, you don't even need to be very good at it to get value out of it, because it inherently counters just Orisa in general, right? There are certain maps where it gets harder and harder as the rotations get more and more, like, in how far you have to dive gets more and more, but on assault maps in general, it's probably the easiest. So here I'm going to take a look at how, like, I want to kind of re-explain it, this time with a little more macro and a more explanation, because I know I told you guys last night, feed as hard as you can. I'm going to explain a little more detail what that means. Okay, so going in here, start out, okay, this is when they capped point, go back a little bit. All right, so you're set up in this room, and I told you to hide, and you're doing a pretty good job of hiding. Now, you need to kind of gauge when they're in range, right? You want to bait them in far enough, and you're doing a really good job of just, living, right? Because you don't want to waste your Moira piss. You don't want to waste anything like that, and you don't want your Genji to die, because your Genji, you can poke a little bit, but for the most part, I really want you saving your CDs and everything else for the fight itself, right? So just don't die. And your Tracer and Genji can stage for it too, like they can get set up here if they want to and come from an off angle. They don't have to play with the team entirely, but either way, you just need to be in range, right? And where you are now, you're pretty much in range. You can honestly just speed, and then once you're to here, you jump behind them as Monkey, you bubble, and you int. Like, I'm not kidding. It's scary, right? It's really goddamn scary to jump directly into a diva, create Torb, and a break, right? But that's how you get the most value, and that kind of shows from the results you get when you actually pull it off. So here you make this rotation here. I disagree with this rotation, honestly, because you don't need to. You're not really decreasing the distance, and also it allows them to cap the point. I would say just speed it down main here, and just walk for a second, just long enough to get your monkey jump in range, and DM it, of course. So you use your DM now, and then bam, you go in from there. Oh, you can't see your my markings. Okay, hold up. I will try and fix that. Or wait, I'm not streaming in fuck. Hold up. I can fix things. I'm sorry. I should be streaming in Discord too, probably, but I can, I'm a little scuffed right now. Alright, this should be the correct display. Alright, this should work a little better now. So if I try drawing around, yeah, okay, that's better. I apologize about that. Here, I'll stream in Discord too, so that it's a little easier. Ease of access, I suppose. Although it does get a little glitchy, so actually I'm going to keep the YouTube just because of quality reasons. Because it tends to get really bad quality. Okay, so sorry about that. What I was going to say was you can walk down these stairs here. You get to this point where you're in jump distance, right? And you can just speed this way and DM, right? And then you can jump and you'll get your value. But instead you kind of make a rotation, which, again, if you're going to make a rotation, it's to decrease the distance. But if you look at how this map is, your distance from here to here is about the same as here to here. So you're not really decreasing distance. If anything, you're giving them time to poke you while you're making this rotation. So it just gets them more value and it builds them ults. While you get no value, pretty much. And also you're forced to use DM there. See, so you actually did have to use resources to do that, and you don't get any value out of making that rotation. So, and they just match, right? You're in the same position you were a moment ago, and they forced resources and built a little bit more of their create ult and so on. So again, make a rotation if you are closing distance with it. Otherwise, like, if it's that easy to match, just instead of playing here, they can switch to playing here. It's not going to get you anything. Okay. So here they played a back a point, and you just go, right? Bam. I'm going to break down exactly how you can get the most value out of your engages. So, first off, engage starts. Their pool is out. This is a pretty good sign you're ready to go in, although you use DM, so it's kind of needed. You don't want to get picked. You wait a second. Okay, you have it. Goose comes for an off angle. Bam. Immediately you're going in. This is really good because you're kind of coming from this angle, which the Orisa is kind of cutting you out from here now. You're going with the speed. Lucio splits from the team, so you're not giving your team speed anymore. Make sure you're with your team. It's more important that Mech gets the speed than you play an off angle. And then bam, you're in. Okay. So this is extremely good, Mech, because you waited to jump, okay? And then when you jumped, it was on a really high value target, and you still have your bubble now. So now here, you land, bam, and bubble. Look at this. This is beautiful. And this is why it works so well. Even though you are jumping into every single counter against a monkey imaginable, you're still going to live. Well, kind of. I think you die, but you get the value your team needed. You're kind of a sacrifice. So here, you start to get shot at, and if D.Va can help in DM, then do that. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Did you have DM? Probably not. Oh, you did. Oh. Yeah, keep in mind your DM range. You could have DM'd that and helped Mech. Just a bit of a small micro thing. And then here, okay, you take out Kree. And these mid fights, these really fast fights where the Orisa comp is just really close to you, is what you want to get them into, right? Like, these fights where you'll have Mech die, you'll have other people die, you win them against the odds because your comp is just, it's so hard for them to deal with you, and it's so stressful for them to deal with you, right? And here your Genji dies as well. Okay. Andrew, I think you do need to work on your Genji and your blades in particular a little bit, and I think I might try and find a good custom game code for you to practice your blades with, just because your blade value, if you get a lot more value out of it, and you're like, I really want you to try and just work on it a little bit, because I know you can do it. You perfected your Sombra, well, at least to a Harmony tier level, at a very quick pace, and that Sombra is hard as hell, so I'd say at this point, focus a little bit more. Maybe if you can even do it in comp. I know it's a bit of a meme in comp, but just practice some Genji, quick play, whatever. Whatever you can do to just work on your mechanics a little bit more. Okay. So here the fight kind of devolves, right? You take out the Brig. This fight is still kind of even. Mech gets back because you guys get back faster than they do, which is another bonus. And from here, it's all target focus, right? Especially in a neutral, you will always win. You will always win as long as you play correctly, because their comp, once they start getting ults like Torb come and stuff like that, can be hard to deal with. They switch Tracer though, which is honestly I feel like a big mistake, because Torb ult counters rush really hard, so you sometimes might need to come up with a plan to deal with it, like save DM or save even deflect if you want to try and just like shoot it back at them and match it, or bait it out somehow. But their comp tends to perform way better with ults, and Rally especially works well for them. So keep in mind their most powerful weapons, and there will be a kind of a showcase of that in a moment here when we go into a little bit later. Okay, Tracer dies, this is fine. Okay, so even though that fight initially, like, you lost your main tank and you killed their DPS, doesn't seem like it's in your advantage, solely due to how their comp wants to play, you had the advantage, right? So it's Mech died, but he still got the value you needed. Mech did the absolute right thing. I think Vet, you probably could have kept him alive a little longer, but that's fine. That's fine. Just make sure you keep that in mind, because Mech's going to take a lot of initial damage. If you can focus on engage, eating Kree stun, maybe displacing the Brig so she can't get as much value. If they have a Torb, then make sure you DM off his damage, because he's going to do a lot. Whatever you can do to help Mech live and help Andrew live. Those are the two people you really want to keep in mind. So now next fight here, you play this really well, although I think you use some unnecessary ults, and this is where I want to get into. You guys are really good at using your ults on engages now, and using them at good times, okay? But you're still not really planning it out sometimes. So you all yeet them out at once, or you yeet them out because like, okay, I think we need this. I think we need this now. When you're bomb engaging, like here, their Orisa, first of all, this is really good timing because their Orisa is so out of position. Like this is great. Just following up on this, but you're not enraged to beat yet, really. So when you aggro beat, right? Yeah, you're not really like, you're not getting much value out of this beat solely because you want to try and make it like time it so that you speed in, then beat, and then bam. Now I know when I was first teaching you to aggro beat and just get you in the habit of it, I would have you beat a little bit early. That was solely because I didn't want you to get into a habit of beating too late because it's worse to beat too late. The fact that you beat it in general is okay because you had the right idea in mind. You want to engage onto the enemy team with your beat. You want to play really first. That's fine, but make sure you speed first and then you go for your beat, right? So that way you get the maximum value you can possibly get out of it. But if you can communicate it to your team, it's better. I'd say just in general, everybody needs to do a little bit of a better job saying, okay, I want to do this at the beginning of the fight. Just say it. I don't even care really where, like, I know I say where. That's really just where you want to bait the enemy team in to do it. Like when, in that'll give your team a better idea of when you're gonna do it too. Basically, like it's like an if statement. Like, and this is what Natter teaches too. We can say like, hey, if the enemy team crosses this threshold, then I'm gonna bomb. That's all you have to say, and then all of a sudden your team understands exactly what you're gonna do, and everyone's on the same page. Or you can, and then maybe Lucio can say, I want to speed and beat this fight. Once they get past, and I'd say getting past a certain point is the best way to describe your engages on Rush, especially against a comp like this, because once they get past a certain point where you're in range, right? You're close enough that you're confident you can use your resources to reach them and still have some left over to fight. Then you can say like, you can have that, like if they go onto point, the second they touch that point, you can engage from drum. Yeah, it's Andrew just messaged me. Programming lingo. Yes, it is absolutely programming lingo. It's why Natter uses it. He's majoring in computer science. I'm gonna do the same, and you know it's the easiest way to describe it. It really is. It's the simplest, down to basics way, because everything in general is kind of an if statement if you think about it, with what you want to do. Okay, you go back, it was good commitment, you all went, and then you hide back in drum, right? So I'd say the best if statement to make here, the simplest one, is if their Orisa reaches point, or somebody starts touching point, then you go, right? And again, speed for a few seconds until mech's in range, like you did the first fight, and then jump, and then hard commit. And when I say hard commit, I mean hard commit. There's no playing around, there's no playing slow. You can't. You physically can't, especially with how this comp runs. It's not like you can wait for a hack and then commit really hard. Because normal Rush is a little different from this. I don't want you to play your Sombra Reaper Rush like I'm going to have you play the Tracer Genji. The Tracer Genji plays so heavily for an engage that is like old dive. It's really like old dive, only you all play stacked like it's a brawl. That's really all it is. So that's what I want you to try and visualize, right? Get out of that like mindset of your because I know I've taught you a little bit more about playing slow with Rush until you have an opportunity, like Oasis playing the backup point. You can do that, but with this comp it's worse. It's much worse. Okay, so here the Orisa's moving up. You kill their Tracer. This is nice. Now at this point you need to be staging for your dive. Okay, you go. This is pretty much perfect. I'd say mech, you can wait a second to jump so that the best possible situation is that you end up behind the Orisa, but still you go for the primal. This is a pretty well-timed primal. Okay, you try to boop the Kree away. This is a really high-risk move. You're lucky. If you hadn't managed to boop this Kree, like if he had pulled before the Bongo was destroyed, then you probably would have died. At this point, you just need to get out, and I think you try to jump on him again. Yeah, you're going to die because of that. It's a little bit of overcommitment, but I understand, especially with the pressure of the match. Just make sure you keep that in mind if you take that damage. And you made a high-risk play that paid off, but just get out at that point. Live. Okay, This is where it starts to get way harder for you guys to survive, because after the initial engage, if you don't get enough value, then their comp sustains better than yours, especially with their ults. Especially, the most dangerous ult for them to have is Rally, to be completely honest. In some cases, it can be Torbolt. Since they don't have a Torb and they switch Tracer, it's Rally. Always track Rally. If you know they have Rally, you need to have a plan. Like, you have to kind of engage hard. It's hard to bait. So sometimes what I want you to do is just say, engage hard, hard focus Brig. Like, just int on this Brig so hard that you scare the hell out of her. She's probably going to rally, but if you can focus her down fast enough, then you can maybe kill her, because she becomes kind of invincible. But I really want that to be a focus against this comp, because you're going to be up against it next week. Okay, you go for Blade, you die instantly. Blades, try and dash up first. Both your blades this map, I believe you don't dash up first. Your second blade, you walk around, you don't even really dash. And then you just kind of swing. Blades need some work, that's fine. Mechanical mistakes are pretty easy to fix, because you can just, run reps on it in like a custom game or something like that. Okay, pretty good focus here. And even then, even when this fight is so unfavorable to you, you still manage to get the BAP, and you still manage to get some value. Right, you end up losing your Moira, and then it becomes more and more difficult to survive. Okay. You lose mech. Alright. Yeah, so that initial engage wasn't the cleanest thing ever, and a little bit more focus on like a specific target. And sometimes if you even want to say, yeah, let's just, the second we go in, we all try and focus the Kree. Like, have a target in mind, just say everybody Kree, like it's old dive again, and that you should be able to get some value out of that. Okay. Because they're all going to play together, they're all in Orisa comp, so. Orisa's always an okay target too, if you bubble her off or something like that, but she's harder to kill, if anything, than like a squishy. Like Kree is one of the best targets you can possibly go on, because he's super easy to kill. Because BAP has ammo, Brig just fucking exists. Kree has a stun you can just eat. Okay, you get staged up. Okay, you make this rotation. Again, I don't see the point in making this rotation. Like, they were already on point, and now they're backing up even further. Like, they're scared as hell of you right now. They're just trying to gain distance. Here, you were actually at a closer distance than you're gonna be now. So, it's not the absolute best. Okay, you start walking through main onto point. You close the distance. Okay, and then you kind of hard commit from here. And this is pretty good. Okay, good eat. Now, I will say, Vit in particular, I was looking at your POV a good bit during this round. And throughout, even like mecha base and stuff like that, I want you to try and listen a little more for targets, okay? I know, like, it's fine if you call targets and stuff like that and, like, everybody's focusing it, but it seems like you're a little bit off page. Like, when a target's being called, you're often on something else. And in some cases, it's warranted if they have, like, a CD. Like, say it's a Kree who's about to stun somebody or something like that. But in some cases, you're just kind of, like, especially with this comp where you have not much damage and you all need to be on a target. I want you to look back on this round and just look at your target focus compared to everybody else. And I believe, I don't think I have the comms recorded from last night, which is unfortunate, but it would have been nice to have recorded that, so that way you would have that. Okay. You kill the BAP. You beat. This is a really good ebb and flow beat. They bomb. You chat on their Orisa. Genji dies, unfortunate. Okay. And you see, again, this comp, like, you guys, you have a lot of pop-off potential. You do a really good job, especially, like, this fight should be so winnable for them, but instead you guys take it. And there was a fight like that on Hanamura where I was actually like, what the hell? How did you guys win that? Because it was just so improbable. Okay, they try and window. You just roll them over at this point. Your ults... one thing I'm really happy about is the fact that your ult usage is so much better. I think the only ult that I was unhappy with. For the most part, yeah, there was that that beat which was a little messy. It was a little too early, but the idea was right, but you didn't even really need it. But the Genji ults just need to work on mechanics. That's really it. Your timing was okay with your Genji ults. You just need to be a little bit more. You need to run some more reps on just doing blades. Because Andrew, how much experience do you have with Genji, like blades in general? Yeah, it might take a second because YouTube's behind. Shit. Well, either way, yeah, you can answer that later. So, okay, I got a message. 0. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought, and that's what I was expecting. I wanted you to learn the Genji like before, because I was expecting, if you guys are going to play Rush, you're going to need to know the counter comps, and for Orisa, it's this, basically. So, yeah, I'll get you a custom mode. I'll find one for Blades, and you'll just have to practice it for next week, because if you can get your Blades a little bit better, and maybe even work on it in quick play, like apply the skills to quick play some Genji, and just make sure once you're out of the custom game, like you're confident, you can do it in an actual like match, right? Just take it one step at a time. Okay. And from here, right, you have Cole Blade. You should just commit with it when they walk in. Really good Cole time. Like, again, your timing is extremely good. You're not holding anything. Like, you just go for it, right? And then you, Genji Blade, you kind of just walk around. It's pretty funny. But it's fine. There's optimization to be had. Either way, you did damage, at least. And the Cole... I think the Cole could have been a moment earlier, and the only reason is I know, in some cases, it's scary to Cole really early, because then they can kite it out, but it's 99 to 99, they have to contest, so you force them, so you actually have more time to do damage to them while they're walking in. Again, very small micro thing, but it will help you out. It's just, you know, more timing stuff. Okay, so does anybody have any questions from that map? Anything at all? You can just DM me, and Slimy as well, if you want to say anything you can about that map, because I know you were focusing on some micro stuff. If you have anything you want to talk about there. You were hard focusing the monkey with that blade. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'd say try and go for the squishier targets during that blade, and also just make sure you take advantage of your dash too, because you can do a little bit more burst damage with it. Slimy, if you don't have anything, I think I'm just going to move on to the next map. If anyone has anything to add, I'm totally open to answering questions, or if anybody has anything they want to look at. Okay, got it. So, the next map, let's see, which one do I want to look at? I believe King's Row, I think it was more of just a problem with getting that kind of tempo down, and it was a little bit of over-aggression from Mech in particular. We'll work on, we're going to run King's Row on Sunday as well, and I'll do some more like in-person kind of coaching with that, because I feel like it's a little easier to look at it that way, and just tempo with mech, because once you get that down, your brawl looks like mecha base, so I don't want to focus on that right now. Route 66. So I want to talk about Route 66 for a second, and I'm gonna look at just how I haven't had a chance to really truly look into the Tracer Genji kind of like really fast rush yet. So I want to show you, like, you guys got it way better in Busan, which is why you got more value out of it. But here, you play under. Now this is actually, you guys play this pretty damn well. I'm going to be honest, like, even when you don't have hack to keep people down, because usually how you would play this is you would have, like, Sombra look for hacks to keep people down, like this diva would be punished, right? But still you play it pretty well, even though this comp isn't really super meant to play slow. Okay. Yeah. And then mech gets poked out. Yeah, this is the danger of playing slow with this comp, right? You take a lot of poke. You don't get much value out of poking yourself. If you show your face, you're kind of just dying. The optimal thing to do here, even though you do win this fight because you do play it really slow and pretty smart, even though you're not playing the right comp to do exactly this strategy, you can come under in like where you were and stabilize for a second. Don't poke, and then all of you come around at once. And mech, I just want you to hard commit, and the team can come up the stairs who can't, like, you know, go up. Like Moira can go up the stairs and even fade in if you need to. Lucio, you don't even need the speed. You're close enough that you can just amp heal to keep your team alive, and then speed afterwards. Like, use the remaining part of your amp to speed. If you know, like, with amp usage, you can start your amp on either heal or speed, and then get the final part of the amp with the other setting. It's a common strategy used. It's kind of like a micro thing, but you can do that here. Just heal first and then speed at the very end to get a burst on whoever you're focusing down. But again, you just want to play really fast. And Andrew, on Genji, like, I know you're trying to farm Blade and everything, but be really goddamn careful. And if anything, it's not even worth the risk in some cases. So just be careful, because you get caught out a lot on this map. Okay. Yeah, and then you get pulled and you're coming into danger. At this point, if I were like the Orisa team, I probably would have just started dropping and taking angles and stuff like that and confusing this team, even though, because once you lose your Genji and you've used a lot of resources like this, then they can start playing aggressive. And their creep does, yeah, they do actually play a little more aggressive. Okay. You trap their diva, and that was pretty smart. And their Orisa drops. Yeah. That was a bit of mechanics diff right there. That was pretty insane. That was nice. Okay. Yeah, so they do end up trying to drop. I think, yeah, okay. Alright. So there, how you guys played that was fine. You can do that. But you can, with your Genji comp, honestly just hard commit up here, or you can force them to drop. I think this strat was pretty good though. I think that would work just as well. Although I'd prefer with that comp just hard commit. Like, even though they're playing the Orisa comp, I'd say if you plan on playing under, you can play the Sombra version, because you just get more value out of hacks. Because the Genji here, Andrew, I could tell you're really struggling. So, and it's just because you're not really, like, this map in particular, you just weren't really going for those super hard engages. Okay. So now, you really have to think about pathing, right? To get to the opposing team. So you can push cart for a while, but I think you have your tracer push cart while the rest of the team stages, right? So instead of having, like, I think you guys try to go around here. Honestly, the second you cap this, get set up in here and wait, and have your tracer push cart. Yeah, you can kind of play here for a second, but you can't stay for long. Okay, get caught out again. You don't even really poke, honestly. Like, you're getting less value. You just push cart. Pushing cart is enough value for you guys. You have your ults too. Mech, be careful. If you get pulled, you might die. Okay. You're still kind of sitting on cart like this. At this point, you really just need to make a rotation to get on them. Okay. Yeah, you can't jump up here. Yeah, so your initial plan here is mech calls that he can boot people off. That isn't how you want to play this rush, right? I want you guys to play it like old dive, just like you did on Busan. Fucking go, just go. And where you can stage, there are two ways you can stage. One is better than the other. I'd say the easiest is this way, because you can just walk with DM for a second, then hard commit, and it's really flat, it's really easy, it's hard for them to mess you up. This way around, you can take a little bit of poke and you need to be careful, but if you come through here and you're successful, you can walk on them and you can hard commit again. But if you don't hard commit with this comp, and the longer you wait, the more things like this are going to happen, where you have like 6 ults right now, you should be able to win this fight. They have 1. They have 2, because like 3. They're close to a bunch of ults, but still, you had the ults off the bat. Okay, that was a good pulse. You, Cole. But again, Your ults are really hard to use here because you're not staged, and now your team looks a bit like this. And that's solely because it was really poorly, like, you're not trying to make a rotation to make your dive easier. That's how you do your rotations with this. You rotate solely to put yourself in a position where you can, on flat ground, run at them and jump and then just go, right? You want to be in this Orissa's ass instantly. And when you're not, you're hiding and they can't even see you, right? And in those times when they can see you for a split moment, DM it. Don't even let them get poked, right? Like, everything you want to do is to try and mitigate how many ults they get as well. You have to keep that in mind, right? It's not even worth poking. It's not. Like, I don't care if you have a lot of health and you can handle it, and maybe you're trying to build your... Unless you're trying to build, like, the last part of your Moira ult and taking, like, 50 damage to do it, don't poke at all. Because in a neutral, in a case where you have an ult advantage, which you will build your ults in a fight faster than they will, and they get most of their ult charge out of poking, then you have the advantage. Your ult economy is just better. It's a hard habit to get out of because a lot of people just poke automatically, and now this fight's pretty much lost. So, okay. Although you guys still managed to push and like push them back, and you get card progress, so this is kind of worth this. A little bit funny, but now you get back. Live. Okay. So now, I think your Tracer's coming back from spawn. You need to do... A good team is going to start taking angles on you immediately, maybe. But for now, you literally just need to sit here and not poke at all. Andrew, you have Blade. You don't need to... No, don't. Okay. You have an ult, and you're giving a team whose ults are extremely dangerous ults, and you're also going to get yourself killed. Don't do this, okay? Like, again, even if you didn't have Blade, still be extremely cautious with your poking. Like, especially tanks, but for DPS too. Andrew, you can maybe peek a corner, throw a few shurikens and get out, but this is such an aggressive poking corner, and like they can see you on this side too. Like, this is just dangerous in general. Yeah, you didn't need to play that aggressive. You didn't need to take that risk. So that's just unfortunate. And here, again, this is another case where they know where you're going to rotate, and they're reacting while you're still trying to regroup. It's the same thing that happened on Li Jiang. Honestly, it's better to go back to spawn and then start your rotation and go from there, forcing them to move while you're moving, meaning you have a better shot at either splitting them or just in general catching them out if they don't know where to rotate in time. Okay. At this point, the second you lost your Genji, you just need to get out. You can't win in this comp if you're 5. Unless you're lucky. Yeah, and you're gonna die anyways. Okay. So now they have a lot of ults, and this is where it gets really hard for this comp. You're gonna have to just try and play off of a Blade engage and then a beat and just everything you possibly can. Now, I will say they don't have a Brig, so they don't have a rally, which means this is actually pretty winnable. I say their most dangerous ult here is Torb, so make sure you're tracking that because understanding they have it is important. Okay, and here you stage pretty much correctly. The ball pick is okay, although with the Genji, I think it's way better for the Genji and the Tracer in general to play around a bubble. So, but the ball is pretty okay. All right, so for the first part of your engage, you're gonna want to speed, and here you PD, you speed. Okay. They high noon. So your ult usage here is pretty good. You don't get a lot of value out of your Blade. They pretty much waste this. They don't get much value out of this at all. At this point, I'd say, like, once the fight dies down like this, like you're not in them anymore, you have to make a choice. You either just try and keep committing, just keep going in, or you completely back out for a second and then get set up to do the same thing you did a second ago. Okay? There's no in-between, right? Like, they have the longer this fight goes on in a case where they can still, like, see you and shoot at you, and once you're in a place where it's like, okay, they're not behind us and in us anymore, they will have the advantage, and they will be getting a lot more value. Okay? And you decide to keep going. This is good. It's just hard with the Torbolt stops this. It makes you... it forces you to make a decision in some cases, either to try and like go around it and live it and keep going, or to just completely back out for a second. So that's why it's so dangerous. Okay. Vit loses mech. Okay. Genji dies. Mech, you're getting pretty good amount of value with your ball. Okay. Yeah, although your team's gonna slowly die out now. Okay. So now to set up on bridge again. If you can just not even tell them where you are, that's fine. This is really good. This is a really good engage, and at this point you just need to speed and go in, probably on BAP or Kree, because now you've isolated them, so this is a good engage. And you just need to int, like really int. Nice. Okay, Mercy's low. Keep going, keep going. You Cole. That's nice. These mines aren't amazing. You just need to keep going on high. Okay. Alright, so a small detail. Be careful about dropping here, okay? If anything, your best possible option, once you push the people on this bridge off, like once they're off or dead, if this Orisa's still up here with the BAP like they were, even though Vit managed to take care of it, the entire team should just hard commit with Vit and just walk this bridge and keep going until this entire high ground is clear, because once this high ground's clear, they're all helpless on low ground and you can just drop. Like if you all keep going on the cart on somebody and you leave this high ground uncontested and this Orisa lives, then it puts you in danger of actually having them be able to turn the fight, because it's harder for you to get back up there again. You made this entire rotation for the purpose of being able to run over this high ground, so keep doing it until the job's done. Okay. Okay, you kill Kree. You kill Diva. Alright. So, on defense, I'm not going to go into defense too much because I probably should have had you guys on rush or some sort of it, but I'm going to come up with a plan, and I might go over that defense later. For now, I don't really want to go over it. I just want to go over that attack. Does everybody kind of understand what I'm looking for with the Genji Tracer comp? Does anybody have any questions about it? Because it's really important that you have it down, because Koala Kings play it. So you're going to have to understand, that in general. And sign me again if you have anything to add, you can add it. And I'll just wait a second for the stream to catch up. Alright. Yep, and Andrew, again, we can work on the Genji. The Genji's fixable. I think, actually, there's a few things I wanted to look at on Lijiang Gardens, really quick, before I forget. Okay. It's a small thing, and then we'll be finished, because I don't want to go on too long, because I know an attention span is tough, especially with VOD reviews. So I want it to be as short as I possibly can make it while going over everything that's really important to get down. Okay. Right. And this is more so for water than anyone else going through gardens here. Okay. Okay. So here, water. What? No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Is that, I think that's the boop you're talking about? Nope. Okay. If you're expecting a rush, which is what most teams are gonna play, they have a Sombra. They can hack you. The Reaper can just fade and live the the boop. Your diva can fly. They have all their CDs, right? Like, you're not gonna do anything, realistically, unless you really catch somebody off guard. There is a strat where you run rush and you go Somber Doom, and then you slam here and then you boop with it. And I think Glads did it and got like a 3 or 4K with it or something. And that strat's pretty cool. It's hard to perform though, and you need to perform it perfectly. But if you do not have the Doom, don't go for the same thing. You're not gonna get anything with it, because it doesn't really work out. Yeah, and now that puts you in a lot of danger. Although they did bubble early, which means in this fight you should have a bit of an advantage. Okay, there's Sombra's playing that room. You get caught out. Okay, yeah, and that's partially because you are low. So I will say, Andrew, so you know, and a lot of Sombras will want to take this room first because you can kind of like take an angle from here. So if your focus is like matching the Sombra, then you can do that. And also right here, like their bubbles up, so kind of need to reposition. Okay, the Diva hack's actually pretty good though, because now their monkey doesn't have much help. Okay. Now they're in you, you're split. Your monkey is on one thing, your Diva and Moira on are completely another. If your Moira is split from your monkey, this is really bad. This is really, really, really bad. Like, no matter what, Nick, I never want to see you split from a monkey to go on something, right? If your monkey isn't there, like Goose right now, this is good that you're tied to your monkey. Don't go chasing things unless your entire team's on it. Because right now you're split. You kill monkey, and that's winnable, but since your Moira's often like back here dying alone, well, with Vit, but still you shouldn't be back there with just Vit and not healing your monkey. Mech is gonna die for that. Yeah. Okay, so that was a winnable fight, even with Water kind of like doing the funny boop feed, but you're fine. You still could have won that with the Diva hack because you managed to get the Winston. It's just unfortunate. Okay, so here you make the call to go white. All right, let's take a look at this. So you make your rotation. It's all good. All good. All right. First, kind of small mistake. Like you actually did get value out of the heal orb, but still, I think you can wait a moment before you use it because now they're close and you don't have heal orb. Okay. Why'd you fade there? Yeah, don't fade there. You didn't need to fade. Okay. They use bubble first. Once they've used bubble first, then Mech, you can kind of take a more aggressive stance because now you have the advantage. And it's kind of like with Reinhardt shield getting low. I want you to treat it the same way. Like whoever bubbles first has to back up first, because then the other monkey bubbles, and you go and you bubble. This is good. It's ebb and flow. Okay, you lost your bubble. Now you need to respect that, and you can also just turn on this monkey, realistically. Yeah, just look at monkey. Oh, my bad. Okay. I think I skipped ahead accidentally. Okay. There we go. So monkey dies. Your monkey gets hacked. Did you just... That was beautiful. That was actually really good. Mech dies. Okay. Then you call. This is a good call because you got it. And then their Moira has no fade. You just go around, you play aggressive with it. This is really good. That's unfortunate. Okay. Yeah. So just kind of looking at some more micro stuff here with your rush. Okay. There's one final fight that I really wanted to look at, and that's EMP. On this map in particular, what do you do when they have EMP? You guys are pretty okay with tracking it, actually. You do a good job. Now, if they have EMP, and you're like, what you're gonna do is not try and int on them before they can do it, then the best option you can do is say, well, you know, they have to come to point, right? So pull an Oasis strat on them, okay? At this point, where's the hardest place for you to set up to hack them? Well, it's kind of pretty much back here, right? It's really hard for them to do anything when you're playing back here, because this Sombra, she has to try and hack you back here, and then it's harder for them to commit. Just play where you can kite. Play like here even. Honestly, I think here would be the best because you can kite out to the corners if you want to. Just play on point or the backup point, and this allows you also to have your Lucio hide, because if your core is playing here, your Lucio can hide back here. Your Moira can even hide. Whatever you want to do. Right? It's so hard for their Sombra to get all 6. That's what I want you to do. Just play back point. Just go back. Because here in this open space, look how this is a kill box right here where you're standing. And if they EMP this and they push you, you're in open space. So you just have to keep that in mind. Now this is a kill box just as much for them as it is for you. So for example, one of my favorite plays is baiting them in. So like kind of poking here and then baiting them in by walking back the point a little bit. The second they reach this kill box, you hit them, right? But that kill box is important to understand because with EMP especially, you're going to get caught. So just play back a point, makes it easier for water, makes it easier for everybody, and you probably would have been able to win this fight because I believe you just like, I think, do you win this fight? I think it's like a narrow win. I think you have to contest. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's where they catch you out, just in the open space here. So I believe you guys take it back by contesting and just going from there with your with Goose getting a 5k. But that's everything I wanted to go over with Li Jiang. Yeah, Andrew, your hacks are really, you just predict the Moira calls. It's actually that's crazy. Yeah, I think that's everything I had for tonight. That's really important, and there's a lot to get down. I think really the Tracer Genji rush is the most important. Your guys' rush in general tends to be pretty good, except for when you split on different targets, which is what happens sometimes. As a default, just stick with your monkey, and if the target's out of range of your monkey, don't go after it. And if your monkey turns on it, then it's fine. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Just your monkey is kind of like an Orisa and a double shield, same idea. Just you orbit your monkey. So keep that in mind. Especially Moira and Reaper, you have to stay with your monkey. Your Diva and Lucio can kind of like, if they want to, split a little bit and go after a target if they really need to, but for the most part, you all want to be doing the same thing. Okay. Any questions at all for the entire match? I can go over any other maps, like any other specific stuff if you want it. People might have stuff. And I think I'm going to look into Koala Kings a little later and strategy to take them down. I'll probably make a video on that, like just like stream it and have that set up so that way you guys have an idea of how to counterplay them. But for the most part, they're somewhat similar to Jetpack Cats. They play Monkey Comp on some maps, but for the most part, they seem to prefer the Orisa Diva. So, yeah. Okay, got it. I'll try and find a workshop code for you. Anybody else got anything? All right, I'll take it as a no. Hopefully this helped with some stuff.